What's up, y'all? I'm watching this press conference live. So, all right, there you have it. There you have it. Cathy Engelbert giving her press conference. Um, and she came out and said, I didn't say that. She was addressed about Napheesa's comments twice. She said the first time Malika Andrews asked her, that last time I think it was Andy Constable, but the first time she said there were inaccuracies. That's how she put it. There were inaccuracies. The second time when Andy Constable came through with it, she said, "Nah, I didn't say that." So she outright is calling Napheesa a liar. Now, I will say this: if you look at Napheesa's comments, if you look at what Napheesa accused Cathy of saying, and you just read it out loud, read it out loud. It do I let me say it like this: do I think that that sounds odd coming from her? I'll just say it like that. Now, I could see her referencing something like that, but the way it was stated, I was like, that don't sound right. That don't sound like something that a commissioner of a league would say. Let me put it like that. Now, I'm not saying she didn't say it, but I'm saying that you know how well, what did they say? And then when you tell your story, you put a little English on it. Because Napheesa's comments about specifically about what Cathy Engelbert said, would a commissioner say that? And if a commissioner did say that, what was the conversation like? So I heard what she said about the referees and what they trying to do and setting up a committee and all of that type of stuff. She could have set up a committee last year. So very interesting. Very interesting. I thought it was she took it on the chin and she said the same thing. At least she consistent. She said the same thing about her um comments about it being disheartened. You know what I mean? She said basically the same thing she said in her response to it. So um I don't know. So yeah, she's supposed to meet with Napheesa and I mean Napheesa put a bow across the ship for real. And let me be honest with you. Cathy answered, no, I didn't say that. So I'm curious as to where that is going to go. It was very interesting that she said um, that they're trying to make sure that there's a raise in the pay rate and all of that type of stuff. But the bottom line is, and this is what people forget, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff on social media, on Twitter, on TikTok, all of that type of stuff, where everybody's got all of these ideas on who should be the replacement commissioner. They want her out. I heard what Sophia Cunningham said. She was just tired of the league, and then you know you got to pump your brakes on stuff like that because you are going into a negotiation, and all you saying is, "I'm tired. I don't like the leadership." Blah blah blah. Well, did you like the leadership last year? You know what I mean? After everything that everybody has seen, you saw it last year, And I guess my thing would be they knew the CBA, the renegotiation for the CBA was coming. There was nowhere near this amount of vitriol and furor for Cathy Engelbert. And let's not forget, you can't, the league is in a good place. She's part of the reason. You might not like how she operates now, but keep it a buck. She's part of the reason. She's part of the reason that the league survived through COVID. You can't argue that. So I saw the thing. Angel Reese is back on her podcast now, and she was telling the story when she got hit and she got hurt and unrivaled. That's why she didn't play in the finals, and that that didn't heal up. She didn't think she was going to be able to start the WNBA season. I think I got that right. But my point is the unrivaled, her injury in unrivaled affected what was going on in the WNBA. That is a problem. When the person that you are negotiating with is the head of a rival league. I shouldn't say rival league because it's 3-on-3. It's not a rival league. It's an option. It's an off-season option. But when you get hurt playing unrivaled and it affects what you can do when the WNBA starts, that is a point of contention. I don't care what kind of medical services they got in unrivaled. It doesn't matter. If Angel Reese got hurt, if who else? Somebody else got hurt. The girl that played for New York, I can't remember her name. The girl that played from New York, she got hurt. And so the injuries, and remember, the injuries are only going to get worse. It's bound to happen. Do I think a lot of injuries were caused by bad officiating? Probably, but that's not usually the case. It's usually the case is just because you playing physical ball. Or how did bad officiating make Kelsey Mitchell get crazy cramps at the end of a game? That's not bad officiating. So you have to be careful in situations like that. Like a good example is bad officiating had nothing to do with what happened with Juju Watkins in college. If you were watching the game when Juju Watkins got hurt, nobody barely touched her. Nobody touched her. Nobody touched her knee. Her and the girl kind of collided, but they were going in the same direction, and they barely touched. I would consider that almost non-contact. And if you saw it happen, it just happened. She zigged when she should have zagged, and the expiration on that knee just went. So you can have arguments about the physical game, but that's what draws people to watch. It's a physical game. The problem is you can have a physical game and the referee still calls a foul. You can do both things. If somebody fouls out, they just foul out. That's the way it works. If you foul out, you just foul out. That's what happens if you play physical. But the problem is that these refs are so bad that they are ignoring calls, swallowing the whistle, and it's the obvious stuff that is just egregious to me. If you're watching a game and it is clear that somebody's fouling, it is clear that somebody's flopping, call it. Call it. That's the problem. It's too many obvious calls that they miss. That is the problem with the refs. And the only thing the refs have been consistent at is their inconsistency, to the point where people don't want to watch games. And I'm one of those people. There was a time, and this, to me, this is the key, and this is how it happens. And this is my experience. Your experience might be different. You might disagree. But there was a point late in the season. Y'all know I played with the Eagles. So the NFL is my main topic on my channel. I got another channel, Pro Fan Hoops, that I'll be starting in a couple days. That is specifically for hoops. I'm dividing the channel because I don't want to confuse the audience. My point is, when the NFL season started, that took my attention away from the WNBA for about 2 weeks. And it was about 2 weeks that I didn't do any content. I was still kind of watching. I was still watching the games, watching the Fever. I was watching Dallas. I didn't create a piece of content for almost 2 weeks with the WNBA, and I didn't miss it. That's the key. If I wasn't into it, if I wasn't invested in it, I would have kept it moving, and I would have left it there. It's almost like, what do they say? Like if you go to the gym to stay healthy, and you miss a week, getting back in the gym is hard. If that makes sense. And it was like that 2 weeks, I was like, I ain't really missing it. I know it's a lot of stuff going on, but I ain't really missing it right now. But I made myself get back into it, and I'm glad I did. I wasn't going to just abandon it, but you understand my point is it is very easy for something to take your attention somewhere else and you not want to go back to it. Because the product is at a point where they still doing that bullshit. I ain't That's where it was for me. And I'm not the only one. Because if I can tell that story and I'm invested, I've spent money. If I'm saying that, the casual fans, those are the people they want. The casual fans. They don't want the diehard people. The diehard people are going to be there. They want the casual fan. They want the grandma that don't watch sports but knows who Caitlin Clark is. They want them, the people in Chicago that don't watch sports, that know who Angel Reese is. They want those people. That's what grows the game. The diehards are going to be there constantly. They ain't going nowhere. But the diehards aren't filling up the stadiums. They're not filling up the arenas. So if I could have walked away from it, I know somebody else did. It was like, man, I ain't dealing with this. I ain't dealing with this. I agree with a lot of people that have said this. The WNBA players need media training. That's my opinion. I'm sticking with it. They need media training because a lot of times the players, they sound petty. They sound like they jealous. That's the optics of it. Because in the day-to-day that we live in right now with social media, the optics are everything. They'll figure the truth out later. But for the most part, the majority of people aren't really caring about the truth. They go with the optics first. They figure the rest out later. And that's a bad place to be. It's you're guilty until proven innocent, not the other way around. We had the situation, they throwing dildos on the court. They accusing people of doing inappropriate thing and racial things in the stands, and it didn't happen, it didn't exist. They making it up, but somebody took the story and they ran with it on social media, so it had to be true, and nobody bothered to do any homework. We know how the sausage is made when it comes to social media. I've been on both sides of it. As a player, and me now as a member of the content creator media. And in this day and age, what I do on YouTube can be more influential than what you would ever see on ESPN now, because everybody is seeing ESPN and Fox and all these other media head shows, Cal Hurd and all these other people that for the longest time, they were the top of the top. People are figuring out they full of shit too. They don't know everything. They get fed. They got a whole department behind them feeding them papers and stats and analysis. They don't know shit. They don't watch the games. They don't study the games. They cherry pick highlights. They cherry pick highlights. Monica McNutt said one of the most important things to Stephen A. Smith when she said, you could have been talking about this 7 years ago. And she was right. The answer that Stephen A. Smith should have said was, wasn't nobody interested in this 7 years ago? Because that is the truth as well. And ESPN as a company, they are trying to go with what sells. L. Duncan said that. People still come at L. Duncan, but she was 100% right. They don't put people on TV in a vacuum. The audience tells them what they want to look at. Caitlin Clark was breaking records when she was a freshman at Iowa. It didn't happen with the LSU game that people want to say that's what it was. No, it was before then. I saw the game where they played in the football stadium and sold out. I saw that game before she played at LSU. I saw the game where the news had the students in line to buy student tickets at 4 o'clock in the morning when the game wasn't until 8 p.m. I saw that. I ain't never see that shit at LSU. I ain't never see that at TCU or Ohio State or any other of the big schools. Notre Dame, UConn. I never saw anything like that. I'm not saying it didn't happen. It just wasn't on the news. So the hype was there. The hype was there. And they just fumbled the bag. They just fumbled the bag. And I heard somebody say this. I think I seen this person on TikTok, and what they said was, if Cathy indeed said the stuff that Fee accused her of saying, she said how she put it was that means Cathy was comfortable saying what she was saying, which means maybe they was both talking grimy. Here's a good comp. Here's a good comp. When all of the stuff happened with John Gruden, John Gruden got kicked out of the NFL a couple years ago when Daniel Snyder got ousted from owning the Washington Commanders, because the racial emails. I don't know if you remember that in the NFL, the racial emails. Emails got out. There was some racial stuff said in said emails, and somehow John Gruden's name got attached to something because his name was in the emails, and he was the only one that got punished at the time. At the time, Daniel Snyder has since been ousted, but the problem is that whatever was said in those emails, they were comfortable enough to write that type and say that type of rhetoric amongst themselves because they didn't think anything like that would ever get outside of the walls, and it did. And they was dropping bombs and N-words and all of that type of stuff because they were with familiar people, and that's how they talk. So I understand what she was saying. This person on social media was accusing, like, hey, hold on. How come Cathy Engelbert, the commissioner of a league, was comfortable enough to say this? How did she get so damn comfortable? Maybe you was talking grimy too. That's her opinion. That's her conspiracy in this whole thing. The person that wrote that article or that made that video. She was just posing the question, and it's a good question. I remember I was 8 years old. We had just moved to Aurora, Ohio, which was right on the outskirts of Cleveland. It was like a Cleveland suburb. I was 8, so this is 1978. I'm new. Not too many periods on the page in that neighborhood. It was a new neighborhood. This neighborhood was so new that the houses in the neighborhood, the grass was still growing. We had straw on our front yard. Only black family in the neighborhood. So trying to make friends, and you go through that process, all of that type of stuff. So I'm walking down the street. This is walking down the street with a couple of kids that I met. And I remember saying this. I remember I'm walking down the street. We outside trying to see who's outside playing or whatever. And I said, I wonder who the fuck's down there. Not realizing I was walking past my house and my mother was standing in the driveway. And my mom called me out. What you say? Get in the house. Embarrassed me in front of my friends. I knew I was in for it. And then she hit me with, wait till your daddy get home. So then I had to deal with that. And the reason I say that is because the only reason I say that, because I get hit with didn't nobody teach you how to say that? Who told you how to talk like that? You know, we don't talk like that in this house. And, all of that type of stuff. Because my parents didn't curse and all of that, you know. So where did I get that from? When you around your friends, you get familiar when you talk a certain way. That's the point I'm making. And if Cathy said what she said, because that's another point. Because now they're gonna look at face to face, and Cathy gonna be like, "Why the hell you tell people I said this? I ain't say that." Because now she said it. Cathy Engelbert said it. I didn't say that. She said it. She put her hammer down, and she got a right to do that. So now it's on fee. Did she say it? What? Okay. What exactly did she say? What? So now it's he said, she said. And let us not forget, because now we saw everything that was saying that. What's up, Carlos? Everybody was saying that um because I saw the things again. This is on social media. This is not, don't believe everything you see on social media, because it might not be true. But I saw all the reports said that Cathy Engelbert is stepping down after the CBA negotiations. And I'm like, if that's true, you think she gonna make it easy for them if they're the reason that she got to leave her job? And in her mind, she doing a good job. And this is what the players forget. Cathy Engelbert works for the owners. She works for them. So I can see Cathy Engelbert making it very, very difficult for them to get what they want, because she on the way out and she giving them the middle finger. Y'all gonna get me out of here, and I'm still at the negotiations. What you gonna do now? They ain't now. Here's the one thing that I was like, all right, I had to put a little arched eyebrow on this. Fee Collier, um, all of those player reps, they ain't talked about Caitlin Clark this much for 2 damn years. Y'all was sick of hearing about her. Now you want to include her in your rhetoric. Ain't that funny? Ain't that a kick in the pants? So that is very interesting to me, because for the longest time, it was clear y'all didn't want to have nothing to do with her. Y'all thought she was getting too much publicity, blah, blah, blah. She ain't the only one doing this. We were here too. We were here first. All of the rhetoric and the pettiness and all of that mess that was going around, it was clear. Y'all wasn't worried about the refs back then when they was knocking her on her ass, poking in the eyes and all of that type of dumb shit that they weren't calling. Marina Mabry knocked the girl down. And they didn't kick her out of the game. And then you see the other night what Jewel Lloyd did to Lexi Hull, and it's like, just call it. I understand physical play. I understand what she was trying to do. I heard the Kobe Bryant story with Paul Gasol in the Olympics. I'm gonna run through his fucking chest. And he drew the foul and all of that kind of stuff. I understand the mindset of it, but it's up to refs. Call it. That was a flagrant. She meant to do it. She pushed off. She put extra on it. Call it what it is. They didn't want to do it. Aaliyah Boston fouls out with some phantom bullshit, and they got the replay. She ain't even touched the girl, but they called it anyways. That's why people throw their hands up like, what are y'all doing? And it messes up the game. If I'm watching the finals, me personally, I'm pulling for Las Vegas. Not that I like Las Vegas, but if I get beat, I at least want to say I got beat by the best. Yeah, they was good. They ended up winning the title. That's what I want to say. So it took the best to beat me. But and again, it goes on both sides. I saw a couple phantom calls with not Jewel Lloyd, but dang it, uh, I'm forget Chelsea Gray, not Chelsea Gray. I can't remember her name. The other point guard for the Vegas for the Aces. She had it was phantom calls on both sides, man. It was phantom calls on both sides. So yeah, Carlos. I saw Kalia Copper. I saw Kai and Natasha Cloud when they did the Unrivaled thing, and I mean shit, all them tickets is gone for Unrivaled, and I ain't paying $1,500 so I can sit by the court to watch a 3-on-3 game. Not gonna happen. I'll watch that shit on TV like everybody else. So, and like I was saying about like the whole situation with Andrew Reese last year, what are they gonna do? Because this is the biggest conflict of interest. If you're trying to grow the league and you got another league and your players are getting hurt, and the return to the W is delayed. And the one key part about this, the one key part about this that everybody's kind of missing is when Cathy Engelbert said the pay and benefits, and the benefits part kind of trails off. The benefits are kind of just as important as the pay, because the benefits is kind of what sets your lifestyle up. Yes, you want the money, but the benefits is the health care, the amenities, places to live, um, all of that type of stuff. All of that type of stuff. And that is big, especially when you're talking about women, because women deal with stuff that men don't deal with. The NFL medical teams, we ain't worried about if you get pregnant, postpartum. We ain't worried about that stuff. But women gotta, so their needs are different because they have different medical issues that they have to worry about. So the medical, the insurance, all of those type of extra stuff that we kind of just throw to the wayside because everybody's focusing so hard on the pay. And if they want those things in this new CBA deal, maybe their money is not going to be so high. That is the negotiation part that, to me, it seems like they're not really thinking about. You just going to pay us more money. Okay, if they pay you more money, what are you willing to give up to get it? This is a negotiation. What happens if they do want to pay you $500 a year and max out at like 7K, or maybe say you want to max out at $1 million? Well, guess what? If you want to max out at $1 million, you're not planning Unrivaled. Hell with that. What you gonna do? What's more important? They got a good opportunity to get the money they want because advertisers are still coming. Caitlin Clark didn't even play, and she's still bringing folks to the arena. She wasn't even playing. So the owners understand how much money they have potential for, but they got to come off some of that cash because they got to pay the players. But if the players want to make the money that they claim they want to make, they are going to have to give up some stuff. The players do not have all the leverage, like Napheesa likes to say, because if the WNBA folds tomorrow, the owners will still be okay. Not the players, though. Not the players. Caitlin Clark will be okay. Angel Reese will be okay. Paige Beckers will be okay. Sabrina Ionescu will be okay. Brianna Stewart, Fee Collier, and all of them people that own the league or got the big NIL deals, they'll be okay. Everybody else, not so much. Not so much. So while they talk big, we got the leverage, pay us what you owe, all that kind of stuff. To me, it seems like they forgetting the fact that this is a negotiation. They're not just gonna give you everything. And sometimes the optics make it seem like they are not skilled at the negotiating table. Everybody was bitching about that first meeting. They didn't like the way it went. They didn't get what they wanted, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who goes in a negotiation and gets everything they want? in a players union negotiation. That doesn't happen. That never happens. This might take 8, 9, 10 meetings. In the meantime, until they get a new CBA deal ratified, they not playing. Are they going to have a draft without a new CBA? Nope. So this could push everything back. So what that does is that puts some of the pressure on the players because they want to get back on the court. So it goes back and forth. I think Cathy drew her line in the sand. And even if she does walk away, it's clear that she's not walking away before the new CBA is done, because whether they want to admit it or not, Cathy might be one of their best friends. If she is truly advocating for the league, she got the ear of the NBA commissioner. That's a big help. So you got to come to some type of happy medium. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to get there. Yeah, the first meeting is just the feeler, man. It's the I know that. But after that stuff that I saw after their first meeting, remember when everybody was there, a show of force, and I'm like, you got everybody here. It's only one person talking. Y'all don't understand. Clearly, y'all don't understand how these things go. Clearly. Most of the people in the room have never done this before. And the less you say, the better. I don't need to see Angel Reese on her podcast talking about her and Dejanay talking about, you need to come to the meetings. Yeah, I need to go to the meetings. Keep that part to yourself. I don't need you telling everybody you was hurt from Unrivaled and thought you wasn't going to be able to start the WNBA season. Keep that shit to yourself until you got the bag. Shut up. Y'all talking too much. You giving the game away. Anything you say can and will be used against you at that negotiating table. They will pull up her podcast and say, wait a minute, didn't you just say that you was hurt and you didn't think you was going to be able to start the WNBA season? What's to say that won't happen again? So sometimes you got to just pipe down, get the work done first. And it seems to me like a lot of the players are really clueless on how this negotiation thing works. They ain't got to give you shit because you want to play basketball. If you think it's so easy to start another league, try it. I keep hearing this. If Caitlin Clark was to start her own league, they would leave tomorrow. Do you think Caitlin Clark wants that headache? Do you know how hard it is to do that? Yes, there would be probably a bunch of people that would jump on board, but do you really think like she wants that headache? All that girl want to do is play ball. That's all she want to do is play ball. And she get dragged in a whole bunch of all of this shit. You already know because Caitlin Clark don't say shit. The only thing you hear is, well, how come Caitlin Clark didn't say nothing? How come Caitlin Clark didn't do that? She don't want that headache. If she did, she would have done it. Can you imagine if Caitlin Clark ran her mouth like Sophie Cunningham? You think they hate her now. But that's not her. So, and again, they there was a there was a whole lot of people hating on Caitlin Clark last year. Now you want to put her name on the ledger. Caitlin Clark is making this much money and bringing all of this to the league. Y'all knew that shit last year. You didn't even want to acknowledge it. Now you want to be her friend because you need something. That's like being a bully to the nerd in school, and then you find out her parents are really, really rich. Now you want to be friends with her? Get out of here. Y'all played yourself. The WNBA players played themselves in that aspect. because you can't tell me that they didn't treat the girl bad, that they was trying to get it out, trying to get the digs. Y'all forget the rookie year when the girl from um who was it? The girl from Seattle punched her in the throat during the game. Didn't call anything. Didn't call anything. And let me be honest with you, and this is just the personal thing to me, and I like Angel Reese, but miss me with all of that. You want to be hugging up with Alyssa Thomas, and she slams you on your damn neck. Now, if you would have been turned a certain type of way and she would have blacked your eye, would you still feel the same? Like, miss me with that. But the stuff like that just showed that they had some type of agenda and they was feeling some kind of way about Clark. Stop messing with the money. You ain't got to like her, but respect the people on the court and play your game. So, yeah, I saw LeBron trying to do a thing, but it LeBron is in a situation where everybody's starting to hate on LeBron too. Not starting, they've been hating on LeBron. So, but LeBron is in a different situation. If LeBron starts a 5-on-5 league, do you think it's going to be people from the NBA that's going to jump to that league? You going to walk away from NBA money? Now there might be some players that aren't making a lot of money. Then you got to look at, okay, if it's Saudi backed, do they have oil money that they want to almost like the Live Tour? Is it going to be something like that? I don't know. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I don't care who starts the league. If the league is paying right, people going to jump ship. People going to jump ship. I'm not a big fan of Unrivaled because I don't really dig 3-on-3 basketball. I tried to watch it in the Olympics. I just couldn't get into it. I watched the first season on Unrivaled. I was on and off with it. That's the best I can say. I kind of enjoyed when they did the one-on-one stuff. But other than that, it was all right. It couldn't keep me interested where I made sure I watched almost every game, not like the W. Mm-mm. I enjoy NCAA women's better, and I enjoy the WNBA better than Unrivaled, and that's okay. It ain't. I'll watch Unrivaled this year because I know Kelsey Mitchell is playing, so I'll watch her. All the other stuff, not really interested. Just don't do it for me. I want to see real basketball. So I want to see what they're going to do, and I want to see how this 3-on-3 stuff is going to affect the negotiations because that is going to come up. That is going to come up. We're going to pay you all of this money, and then you have or what they're going to do is they're going to put provisions in the CBA that says, hey, if you're making this much money or blah, 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 if you are under contract with this and you get hurt in another league overseas, unrivaled, FIBA, Eurobasket, whatever, if you get hurt over there, this is going to happen. You forfeit this much, you forfeit that much. We'll take 50% of your pay. You will be cut and we will pay you out 25% of your negotiated contract. They can put anything in that. Anything in that. And the players have got to understand that if you want something, you got to be willing to give something. And I don't think they understand that yet. I think they just want to pay me what you owe. They sound like the damn Boondocks. Pay me what you owe, Santa. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Let me that's a good point. But here's the problem with that. So what happens when they got to put provisions for Olympics? What happens if Gabby Williams wants to go back and play international with the French team? So she can't do that anymore? Like what what are the players willing to give up? Because the one thing that we have to remember is um, athletic organizations in other countries treat their athletes a hell of a lot different than we do over here in the States. So, like, I don't know. Is she the captain of USA basketball? I have no idea. Well, you know what? Because I know, isn't Sue Bird the coach now? I don't know. I don't know. Because half of this, I mean, this started. Ooh, itching again. I can't get it. This started when it didn't start it, but I think a big thing in contention was how how Cheryl Reeves acted with the whole Olympic thing and leaving Caitlin Clark off the team when you had Chelsea Gray, who had been hurt all year. That didn't make sense. If you want somebody that can pass the ball, I'm sorry, don't nobody pass the ball better than Caitlin Clark. Chelsea Gray is a good passer and a great player when she's healthy, but she wasn't healthy going into the Olympics. But I respect Cheryl Reeve enough. If you don't want her on your team, don't put her on your team. And what's her name? What's her name? Arike Agumbawale. I saw the interview she did. I don't know who she was talking to, and she said they let it be known real quick that I wasn't their type of player. So I told them, don't invite me to no more workouts. Don't waste my time, and I won't waste yours. And that's real. But when I saw Arike say that, I was like, Coach wants certain type of people. Coach wants a veteran team. Blah 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 blah. So that's the type of team she wanted, and they won. They won by 6 inches. If Gabby Williams' foot was not on, it was 6 inches back. That's a three, and it might be a different outcome. But they got it. They got the goal, and then now we're looking at the marketing opportunities and how you represent the how you represent women's basketball for the United States. And then what does Asia Wilson say? That bitch. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You just said that on the Olympic stage. Now, mind you, how many little girls and folks was watching that? And that's what I was like, oh, I think she was talking about Cock Copper. And that just, to me, that just marred the whole thing. I'm like, you just negated everything great that just happened. Because now the only thing people gonna remember is that bitch. It's like, what is going on? Oh, Karen Lawson is the coach. Okay, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. NECA wanted her and her sister on the team. Well, NECA Agumake is the bomb. Chinny Agumake, can she still play? I don't know. I'm assuming you're talking about Chinny. Is there another? Is it Chinny or Chine? Chine Agumake. Um, is there another Agumake sister? I don't know. But at the end of the day, it was politics. It was politics. I think Christine Brennan was 100% correct. If they really wanted to make the explosion of the WNBA even bigger, Caitlin Clark should have been on the team. But if she didn't want her on the team, that's her right. And I agree. I thought it was a missed opportunity, but they did all right. They won the gold. So, you know, they won the gold, but they lost the marketing opportunity. And they could have put Caitlin Clark on the bench, and they still could have won the gold because Chelsea Gray didn't do a damn thing. So you still could have won it. Asia and Kyle was enough. So, um, Reginald, I don't necessarily agree with that because Caitlin Clark had already played. She represented USA in international games and stuff like that. So I mean, it's an opinion. I think she could have played. So, but at the end of the day, I mean, it don't matter now. That's water under the bridge, bro. So, but I think they did miss an opportunity. I think, and let me tell you why I know the conversation must have came up because if it didn't, if Cheryl Reeves was solid on her stance, the conversation had to come up, or or um, or Dawn Staley wouldn't have said what she said on the Today Show. Y'all remember that? Was it Today or Good Morning America? One of them shows, when she was like, if we were to do it again, maybe would have thought a little bit differently. She was trying to backpedal a little bit and smooth it out. So, um, you know, it is what it is. Reginald, you're not wrong, but some of the people that was on the team couldn't handle the physical play either. So, like I said, it's water under the bridge. They made their decision. At the end of the day, they got the goal. But you know, it is what it is. But they better come correct with this, with these negotiations, because I don't think it's going to end the way they think it's going. I just don't. I just don't. I think um, they are not realistic with what they got to do, and they are not just gonna. We have all the leverage. Give us everything we want. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening at all. So, but it was a good press conference. I thought it was interesting. I thought Cathy. I was a fan of Cathy Engelbert, because the first time I watched, um, when I watched the draft 2 years ago, um, when I knew I was going to be invested in the WNBA, like really watching it. I've watched it. I've told the story about Kelsey Mitchell. She's from my hometown. She's from my high school. I knew her father, all of that type of stuff. So the whole thing with Kelsey Mitchell is kind of personal to me. But Kelsey Mitchell was the only reason I was watching the W. I did not watch other teams. I wasn't paying attention to the league. I was watching Kelsey Mitchell, period. But when I started watching the NCAA women's, and then I started watching Utah, and then I started watching Iowa, and then LSU. I was a big fan of LSU. And of course, Dawn Staley, the Philly girl, watching South Carolina. I got into watching women's basketball, and I enjoyed it. Notre Dame, everything that was going on. Silas Swords is one of my favorites at Michigan. Um, I enjoy the women's game more than the men's game, and I followed them all the way into the W. Can't wait to see what happens with Juju when she comes back. She's not playing this year. Is she gonna come back for another year for USC, or is she gonna go straight to the W? I would thought she was gonna come back to the W, or to the USC. However, by the time Juju Watkins is ready to play back at USC, there will be another CBA. So the amount of money but she's another one. She's another one like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. The NIL money that she's going to make when she joins the WNBA, she'll be taking a pay cut. So it's just, and that's why I got respect for people like Caitlin, for people like Angel, for people like Paige, like Juju's going to have. They are playing for the love of the game. It ain't for the money. Because every time they step on the court, they taking a pay cut. So I want to see him get better, and I want to see him really take over the league. Can you imagine? If can you just imagine if Indiana Fever would have made the finals without Caitlin Clark? What do you think they would have been looking like next year when she gets back on the court? Kelsey Mitchell finally got her flowers of being one of the best players in the league. But and this is the problem. Everybody when it says the diehards say, "Oh, we've been watching Kelsey Mitchell for years." Guess what? Nobody knew, or nobody wanted to give her props. Hell, she was the MVP candidate, and the WNBA didn't even put her on the media. So they were playing their favorites. They were playing their favorites. So no, I was in here's the timeline with Kelsey. When Kelsey was in high school, and when she eventually went to O State, I was up here. Because Mark, her father, was 3 years older than me. He was a senior when I was a freshman in high school. So when I went to our senior year, we won the state title in Ohio, and we were in the USA Today top 25 teams in the country. At one point, we were the 10th ranked team in the country. We were good. And then we lost. They kicked us out. Then we went state. And then they, at the end of the year, we were ranked like 17th in the country or something like that. Right. But uh, the rules said, recruiting rules said, a team cannot entertain scouts and recruiters until after your season is done. That was the rules. So if you go to the final game, if you go to the championship game, you can't talk to scouts until after the state championship. The week after the state championship, I got mono and got sick. So I missed George Perlis from Michigan State. I missed all the recruits that were in school. I was eventually going to go to either Indiana State or Toledo. And then now here's where Mark comes in. Here's where Big Mark comes in. Because Mark was the offensive lineman. So we called him Big Mark. He was my frat brother, Alpha Phi Alpha. He pledged me, all of that stuff. Rho Ada chapter. Shout out to my rock hard Rho Ada brothers from Eastern Kentucky. We had a very close-knit high school. If you went to college, if you went to the military, if you went away when you left high school, when you came home, you came back to the high school to see what was going on, to talk to your teachers, to talk to your principals, because everybody was invested in us. My high school was the shit. Princeton High School, put your hand over your heart every time you say it. So I'm working out, have not declared yet. We had a pretty good weight room for the time. So when everybody came home for holidays and stuff like that, everybody came to the school to work out. I see Mark in the weight room. Hey, what's up? Blah, 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 blah. What's going on? You signed with anybody yet? No, I haven't said, hey, why don't you roll down to Richmond with me? Richmond, Kentucky is where Eastern Kentucky is. Why don't you roll down, meet Coach Kidd, let him talk to you? Okay. So I rode down there with him. And they offered me a scholarship on the spot, full scholarship. I didn't even understand what was happening. And Coach Kidd told me, we did not recruit you because we didn't think we could get you. He offered me a scholarship on the spot. So if it wasn't for Mark Mitchell, I would not have gone to Eastern Kentucky. I would not have had the career I had. Mark Mitchell was the guy that guided me to my best game as a college athlete, 37 carries and 300 yards against Marshall. He was the offensive lineman, and he just said, follow me. And I ended up with 300 yards on the night as a red shirt freshman. And that's where it started. And then I pledged Alpha. He was one of my big bros. He was the DJ. He was the campus DJ. So I would always carry his gear. Back then, it was milk crates, and you didn't have the digital stuff that you have now. We had to carry all of that stuff loaded in the car. So I was always one of the guys that helped them out. And then one summer, we all in summer school, me, my roommate Doobie, my other frat brother, Kelly Blunt, we all get in the car with him. We drive down to Memphis, and I was in his wedding. So I'm saying all that to say, Kelsey Mitchell is personal. When Kelsey came up, I was here in Philly. I just played with the Eagles. I met my wife, stayed in the area. So I was up here. So I didn't get a chance to see. I've never met Kelsey. But the affinity is from her father, period. So I will, on the strength of Big Mark Mitchell, I will always support Kelsey Mitchell. She don't know me. I know her mom. And I was great friends with her dad. So that's how I got into the W. I watched her at Ohio State for the same reasons. That's my boy. And that was back when her sister was still playing. They went up to Ohio State as a pair, Kelsey and Chelsea Mitchell, because they was nasty in high school. So that's my story with Mark Mitchell. That's why I follow Kelsey. Yeah. Yep. Versus Twinsburg. Absolutely. Because my sister, I have a twin sister that played basketball when we were in high school. They won the state title at Princeton when we were juniors in 1986. So my senior year, my twin sister was voted the most popular female athlete. My sister got her Hall of Fame ring. We both in the Hall of Fame, in the Princeton High School Hall of Fame. She is part of the 86 championship basketball team. I'm part of the 87 championship football team. So both me and my twin sister are in the Princeton High School Hall of Fame. So, but I say all that to say that's my tie into Kelsey. So, but that's off on the tangent a little bit. But yes, we played against Lima. We played against Middletown. We played against Lakota. We played against when we won the state title. We played against Youngstown Boardman. We played against Gahanna Lincoln. I remember when we played against Middletown my senior year. Middletown had these two players. One was 6'4", one was 6'5". Huge dudes. Man, we ran through them. We ran through Middletown because those Middletown was ranked in USA Today too. So that was a big deal back then. USA Today was everything. So yeah, we played against Lima, Lakota, Moeller, Cincinnati Moeller. That was the Princeton rivalry back in the day. Because mind you, when I was in high school, Ken Griffey Jr. was a year ahead of me. I knew Ken Griffey Jr. We went to elementary school together. He got a little brother named Craig that was a year behind me and my sister. We all knew each other in elementary school. And then we knew each other. We would see out and about at clubs and stuff like that when we was in high school. And we played against Moeller in high school. Moeller, when the first time I ever saw a scout at a athletic event, I was playing baseball against Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. We played Moeller. That we didn't never have. Princeton was a football school, but I played baseball. I grew up playing baseball. I thought I was going to be a baseball player because I was good when I was little, and then my natural talent kind of stopped. And then I was a late bloomer at Princeton. I didn't start Princeton until my senior year, so I was a late bloomer. But I was playing baseball. I was a catcher and a third baseman, and we played Moeller. And that was the first time I ever saw scouts in the stands because nobody ever came to our baseball games. It might be a few parents, but it was mostly just us. And then we show up one time, and it's like 30 people in the stands with sunglasses, stopwatches, notebooks. Ken Griffey Jr. And he put on a show. So, but we played against each other, and then we beat him in football. He played football his senior year. I believe he was a safety, and we beat him. We beat him our junior year, and we beat him my senior year. And we used to go down and play Riverfront Stadium where the Bengals played because the game was that big. We could fill up. We didn't fill up the whole stadium, but we had the lower rung filled up. So, you know, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yes, the commissioner works for the owners, not the players. I keep trying to tell people that in them because everybody's like they want Lisa Leslie to be the commissioner. They want Sue Bird to be the commissioner. They naming all of these ex-players, and I'm like, y'all don't understand what a commissioner does. You do not want somebody that you like to work for the owners. That's not what you want. It's not going to end well for you. And that's when I say stuff like that. When I see people talking about, yeah, we should get, Ella Del Don should be the commissioner, or they naming all of these former players. I think I saw the other day, Cheryl Miller. We should make Cheryl Miller the commissioner. Like, no, Cheryl Miller does not want to work for the owners. She doesn't want to do that. I see that all the time. So, yeah, I don't think they understand the way it works. Maybe they haven't been paying attention. I know there's some people that do, but for the most part, some of them, like, they don't get it. They don't get it. So, but in any case, good conversation, man. I usually don't go, I don't do lives on Fridays because it feels like everybody's out. It tells me I got to figure out a way, man. I got a ton of people watching on Twitter. I got to figure out a way to get all y'all people on Twitter need to be coming to YouTube because Twitter does not help me on YouTube. So I got to figure out a way to bridge that gap. But in any case, I see you, Al B, used to play against Jose Canseco in high school. Okay, okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna get up out of here, man. That was interesting press conference. Cathy held her own. She came out and said, "I ain't say that shit, and I ain't quitting." Yeah, you heard that. So it'll be interesting to see how they go forward. So I'll be watching. Um, I wish I could have got some tickets to the Unrivaled game in Philadelphia. I might see if I can finagle a way to watch it. Maybe I can. I got some friends that are cameramen. Maybe I can get on somebody's crew or something like that. Um, but in any case, I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Good conversations tonight, man. Good conversations tonight. So I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I'll have some more stuff for you this weekend. Make sure you check out me and Tone. 10 o'clock on Sunday because the Eagles have another 1 o'clock game. So Tone and Marcus, Bald Eagles podcast. I'll be doing that Monday. And then like I've been telling you, after the finals, after the WNBA finals, all of my basketball content will be on my other channel, Pro Fan Hoops. Okay? All of my content will be on my channel, Pro Fan Hoops. So just letting you know. So Pro Fan Hoops, that's me. So soon as the finals get over, I'm trying to get content together now. I'll be going right into NCAA women's basketball. So I got a nephew who is playing in the Mongolian League. I'll be watching that. And yeah, I'm going to try to get into Eurobasket and some stuff like that, some of the overseas stuff, just to get the content because I've really enjoyed women's basketball, so I want to watch some of the overseas stuff because I know they're going to have a lot of international players coming down to the W next year. So because of the popularity and the Caitlin Clark effect and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so next couple, really just now. So if you available, if you on Twitter, do me a favor, mosey on over. Make sure you subscribe on Pro Fan Talk first, then mosey on over to Pro Fan Hoops and subscribe. We at 343 right now, and I really haven't put much on the. I'm just kind of shuffling stuff over there, but I got some videos, I got some stuff on there, got some content on there, and it's only going to grow. So appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. And I will see you on Sunday for the Eagles game. All right, I'll let y'all later. Peace.